So you spent hours and you finally stumble across a product that you think is profitable. You search it on Amazon and you have no idea if it sells quick, if it's profitable, and whether it's worth buying or not. Lucky for you, in this video, I'm on a call with one of my mentorship students where I break down exactly what I look for in a winning product and exactly how I analyze all of my Amazon listings. This would include variation listings and determining whether or not this is a good product to purchase, as well as how many I would purchase, as well as getting an estimation on how quick I think everything will sell out in. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so right now I'm on Amazon. Like obviously I'm on .com, so on the US side, but it works
Okay.
the same on Canada. So for example, if I wanted to have you seen the video that I posted and sent you like yesterday?
Yeah, about the night socks, about the
Has,
keep and everything.
yeah, has that been good?
Yeah, I was looking on it, but like to be honest, I have not looked at all. I've just watched it half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess I'll give you a demonstration in this
Okay.
like call regarding how I would analyze it. So let's say, for
Sure.
example, right? I'm
Okay.
sourcing and I find this t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
And let's say on the store or wherever I'm finding this t-shirt, it's like a medium, size medium, and I'm comparing it with Amazon to see if it's profitable.
Okay.
So I search Nike, I search the specific item, this t-shirt, and I find this listing, and this listing pops up, and just taking a look, we see
Mhm.
that the sales rank, the
Yeah.
BSR is 1,992, which is very good by the way, right?
Okay.
Anything under 50,000 is amazing, and anything under 50,000 I would potentially purchase, if that makes sense.
But like sometimes I'm confused with the BSR because like every time I open a new product, every time I see like sometimes it is written 3K and sometimes it is like 200, sometimes it is 800. So like the BSR is like of every product got a different BSR of it.
Yes. Every product has a different BSR. Like every unique item, like every single one, every size, every color, it's a different BSR. And
Okay.
the BSR, so the sales rank, is tied towards the category. So this is the BSR is like about $2,000 for clothing, for like like apparel and
Okay.
clothing, right? If you were to look at Lego, then let's say your Lego toy is like 5,000 BSR. It's sales rank of 5,000 towards toys, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So every single item is different. But anyways, looking at this listing, the BSR is about 2,000, right? And like I said before, any item that's under 50K, so
Yeah.
49, 48, 47, all the way to like one, that is amazing. The lower, the better.
Okay.
And just to get a better understanding, so I'm using AZ Insights, but Seller Amp it shows the exact same thing, right? With estimated monthly sales, it says 3,500 for this
Yeah.
listing, and it generates about 90,000 a month in sales. So that
Okay.
is amazing, right? Off the bat, I'm looking at all this information and looks great. But the thing about this listing, and it's going to be very common as you look more into different listings, is sometimes the listing there is, different sizes. Like here we have five different sizes from small to double XL, right? And we
Yeah.
also see 10 different, colors, right?
Yeah.
So when you come across a listing like this where you see like 10 different items or even like five different items with different sizes, the BSR, like the monthly sales of 3,500 and the BSR of 2,000 is a representation across all of these items, right? So it's
Oh,
not,
okay.
so don't make the mistake of thinking this specific black t-shirt generates 3,500 sales. It's not, right? It's
Okay.
10 different items all together, if that makes sense.
All right.
Of course, there are some listings where it's just a one-off. For example, let me just show you. Um, let's do Lego, for example, right? Um,
Okay.
let's use this listing. We see here this Lego. Well, this is not actually Lego, but just as an example, right? This listing, there's only one item. So whatever the sales is 80 sales a month, and there's only one item. So that means
Yeah.
that this one item on this one listing generates all the sales. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Granted, like the BSR is 138,000, which is actually pretty high. So I would just skip this item. But
Okay. Yeah.
anyways, going back to this, right? So say like You find this item, this black t-shirt, let's say you get it at $12, right?
Okay.
Size medium. So what we would do is go on size, we would click medium, we will let it load
Mm-hmm.
so that this price, the buy box, we see the current snapshot is at $27.50 or
Yeah.
$27.49. We put in the calculator because say we source it at $12, we put it in for FBM and FBA. Do you know the difference between FBM and FBA?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So these are just the two comparisons. If you want to focus only on FBA, then you can only put $12 in for FBA. If you want to do
Okay.
FBM, just do FBM. For this example, I'm going to show both, right?
All right.
So we put in $12. Off the bat, we see if we buy this item at $12, every single sale we generate $4.50
Yeah.
as FBA, which is very good because 38% ROI. That is above our buying criteria. And our buying criteria, we want to look for items that are under 50,000 in sales rank, as well
Okay.
as 30% ROI. Anything
Yeah.
under, it would still be profitable, but in my opinion, it's just not worth it to use your money because you can find better items and
Yeah. Yeah.
your cash, make more money, right? And then for FBM, we put this in and we see every sale, we get about $10.82. But
Okay.
you got to be mindful that this does not include shipping. So
Yeah.
say you list it and you get a sale, you got to pay for shipping now. And shipping is generally about $6 to $10. So we could make the assumption, let's be more conservative here and assume
Yeah.
that shipping is $6, right? Then you'll be left with about $4 in profit, right? But then you're responsible for customer service, you're responsible for everything, dealing with
Yeah.
customers. And there are certain items that are not worth selling FBM for. So you just got to play around with that and get a better understanding. But
Okay.
with FBA, this final price, it's tied with everything. Like shipping is not tied, but when you ship one box of like 30 units, it will be like
Mm-hmm.
$10 and it will be $10 divided by 30 units, so 30 cents.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next thing I want to look for is under here, brand. I want to make sure it's Nike.
Yeah.
There are some, like listings where like it's like a Nike t-shirt and then it's like another brand. Have you seen
Okay.
that? So you want to avoid those. You want to make sure the brand that is listed is tied to the exact item because otherwise, if it's not, you will have a lot of authenticity complaints. So, people would say it's fake and it will be just a headache to deal with. So
Yeah.
just make sure that the brand associated is Nike and that the item that you're trying to buy and sell is also Nike.
Sure.
Okay. And here's like the ASIN. So just the general, the SKU, basically the identifier and everything. And we scroll down here and we look into the Keepa.
Yeah.
So off the bat, the Keepa, your graph might be 3 graphs. Is it 3 graphs or 2 graphs?
I just got like one graph, the above one.
Is it because you don't have the membership yet?
Uh, I don't like. I bought it yesterday. The Keeper membership.
Okay, interesting.
I just need to maybe look at on to maybe I got like two. To be honest, like I was just looking on it.
Okay,
I was
okay,
like, I yesterday I was looking on it with the Keeper, and I just got to know I haven't bought the membership yesterday. So like
okay,
that was a problem, and then I just told you like I bought it. Then it was all good.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. Okay, so far off this calculator, so off the top with AZ Insight, this is just a snapshot in its
Yeah.
current time. So as of today, this is what everything would look like, right? As of
Yeah.
today. But so this is just to validate whether or not you are profitable if you're to buy today and sell today. But the more important thing is to look at historical data because we cannot predict the future, right? If I
Yeah.
knew this item was very profitable in the next 2 months, right? Then I would just buy so many of it, right? But
Yeah.
that's not how it works. The only way you could judge if an item is good is by looking at historical data, because oftentimes when you look at it from a past month, so past 30 days, past 90 days, and even from a yearly view, you get an idea. Because if an item if an item fluctuates, so one day it's
Yeah.
$10, next day it's $30, next day it's $50, and it goes back down to $10, then that tells you that the item's very volatile, right? And you won't really have a good, you can't predict what the price
Yeah.
will be tomorrow or in 3 days or in like 3 days or in 3 months, right? So ideally you want to look for items that is very steady. So it's like a general guideline, like from a low point and a high point where you're profitable from all aspects, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So right now we're looking at it. Let's start from the weekly view, right, on Keepa.
Yeah.
So the first graph I have here on top is like a pink line. So this pink line is the buy box. So right here. So this pink line is basically the price of each sale at a current time. So we see
Okay.
here on April 22nd, the buy box is at around $30. So that's
Mhm.
what sales were generating at. And then on April 24, the price went down to $25. So that's
Yeah.
where people were that's the price that people were generating sales at, right? So we see here that from within the week, the price fluctuates from about at a high of $30 and at a
Yeah.
low of $25, 25.90 cents. So we go back up to our calculator and we put it in. So right now we see it at 27, so it's profitable. But what if it's
Yeah.
at 25.9, right? Then we would still be profitable at $3 and around
$3.
27% ROI. Good.
Yeah.
And anything higher than 25.9, we're obviously profitable, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we go into the monthly view, right? And we take a look. So we see it's pretty consistent at about $25.90. Obviously, it goes up to a high at $30, but
Yeah.
for majority of the last 30 days, it's at about $25.90. So similar price, it's still, $3.25 profit per sale. And then we go into the 3-month time frame, and like we take a look here and we see like it's sold at a bit of like $27, and it just kind of like stopped at about 25, same price.
Yeah.
We go into the yearly range and we see starting at about like mid-October, right? The price kind of jumped to $25, 27 to $25 in this range. But
Yeah.
then before that, it's selling like pretty consistently still. Maybe it hit 23, $24 somewhere here. So we put 23.75. And at that point, obviously, it it's still profitable, so that's a
Yeah.
good thing. But if this was the current price all across the last year at 23.75, then we can make that assumption that yes, it's profitable, but perhaps it's not an item that we would purchase because it wouldn't it wouldn't make our buying criteria. But this was
Okay.
like a year ago, right? And we're just seeing like from a yearly view, at that point, you just want to make sure that the lowest point is profitable for you still, just in case,
Yeah.
because you never know. Maybe the price will tank, maybe the price will go up, but you just want to make sure that at the lowest possible point, you will not lose money. And even
Okay.
if even if it was a negative, you would lose like $1 or $2, but you really have to make a judgment, right? You really have to
Sure.
make a judgment. So from the looks of things, from the last year, you've been like this item, if you get it at $12, you're profitable, right? So at least we know that you will not lose money 100%.
Yeah.
Or not, I can't say 100%, but you're 90% confident that this is a profitable item.
Sure.
The second thing you want to look at is the purple graph. So what this purple graph represents is for every single, increase or decrease, it means it's a new seller. So at this point in
Okay.
September, like 2023, I believe, there was 12 offer counts. So that means there's 12 sellers.
Okay.
And then right now, and in February, there's 23, so
23.
23 sellers. And now it's 10, so there's 10 sellers, right? If you were to add on to this listing, it'll become 11 because you're
11.
a
Yeah.
seller, right? And essentially, you know how it goes, right? The more
Yeah.
demand,
The
like
more
the more
demand.
yeah, the more supply, like supply and demand, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's more sellers, price will go down. If there's less,
Down. Sure.
will go up, right? So you want to also make sure and ensure that your product is not going up very quickly in terms of offer counts. Because if it
Okay.
goes up very quickly, it means a lot of sellers are sourcing these items, and chances are, the price will go down just because people have credit card bills to pay, people just want to get
Yeah.
sale, whatever it is. So you want to look for items that are very consistent, that there isn't a lot of high fluctuations going up and a lot of going downwards. Because if it's going down very fast, like if it falls off a cliff, like it just goes
Yeah.
like this, like straight drop, it means that there's like probably an issue with the brand, where the issue is
Okay.
issuing, like the brand is issuing an IP complaint. But that I'll talk about that after.
Okay.
But we see here that for majority of the first half of the yearly view, it's been pretty much hovering at around 6 to 10 sellers.
Yeah.
So that's pretty consistent. And then in the last couple of months, it did increase. And this is not like not a very fast increase. This is very normal
Okay.
across many listings, right? And it's slowly coming down. So just from the looks of how many sellers are coming into the listing and coming off, the item looks pretty good. It's pretty stable. You know, the price
Yeah.
is very consistent. Obviously, like there are a few more sellers, but now it's coming back down. But over the course of like the last month and a half, it went from 20 sellers all the way to 10. And that can
Sure.
also tell me that the item sells. Because if an item doesn't sell, then the offer count will just keep going up or it'll
Yeah.
stay,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, right? So if it's
Yeah.
going down slowly, that means it's selling. So that's
Okay.
so that's a quick analysis if this was an item, like a listing for one item. But because this listing, there's like 5 different sizes, 10 different colors, right?
Yeah.
Back to my original point, this 3,500 sales is an accumulation of everything on this listing, right? So the way you could check is number one, go into the data tab and go into
Mm-hmm.
offers. It might take some time to load. So let's have that load.
Okay.
So essentially in offers tab, this is not accurate, by the way. This is only like 50% accurate, but you can kind of use the information to get a good understanding, like a very
Yeah.
rough idea whether or not it's a okay if it sells or not, right? So
Okay.
under data and offers, we see sold in last 30 days. And we keep scrolling, we keep scrolling. Obviously, at the very bottom, it says about 380 sales
Wait.
in the last 30 days. Like I said, this is not accurate because it could be a lot more. It could be
Okay.
7 sales, or it could be a lot less at 100 sales. But
Okay.
just because it's at 382, I can make an assumption that it definitely sells, right? It's an item that at least sells one or two or even 4 or 5 times a day, right?
Okay.
So this is a good idea. And by the way, the reason why this is not accurate is because sellers sometimes they put quantity constraints. So like they only show that they only have 2 units in stock
Yeah.
because they don't want other people to see how many units they have in stock, if that makes sense. Like this guy, right? He has like two
Yeah.
consistently. But okay. So we see here that there's a rough estimation of 380 sales a month, and we go into buy box statistics. The next thing we want to look at is to make sure that you could get the buy box, right? Because there can only
Yeah.
be one person at buy box at a time. So you want to see if the buy box rotates. So we click here, data, buy box statistics, and we see here that there are well over 10 sellers, and each one of them all have gotten buy box at least a couple times,
Yeah.
in the last 30 days. Obviously, this guy has more because he probably has a better price or he probably has more in stock while other sellers sell out, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Have you seen the video of me explaining like different ways you could get the buy box?
Like I have, I think I've not seen that video, but like I have seen this one, like how to
Mm,
check it, like
okay.
about the sourcing and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with buy box, there's like 6 to 7 different ways you could win buy box.
Okay.
Obviously, there's some at a high priority. Like for example, you got to be price competitive. I'm not
Yeah.
telling you to be the lowest price because you can still get a lot of sales and win buy box if you're not the lowest price. But
Okay.
if the buy box is at 27.50, you should be within 10% deviation. So you should be within like $28, $29, maybe even
Yeah.
like $6, and you have a good chance of winning buy box. Obviously, if you're $40 while this is 27, you will not win it
Sure.
because it's too far off. So make sure you're within 5 to 10% deviation. And the second
Okay.
thing is you will always win buy box or have a higher chance of winning buy box if you have more units in stock, right? So
Okay.
Amazon favors sellers with more units because you can consistently sell. You could get them, you could generate them sales consistently versus one seller who only has like two or three, right?
Yeah.
So the two biggest or the two main priorities you should focus on in when it comes to winning buy box is having a competitive price, which you're going to take a look at here to make sure you're profitable. So if the price goes down, you can follow. If the price goes up, you can follow, right?
Yeah.
And having stock, a lot of stock. So yeah, so we're here at buy box. We see it rotates, so that's a good sign. And next, you want to go to variations tab. So within the variations tab, it gives you information on every single listing, like every single specific item on this listing, right?
Okay.
And like I said, this is a very rough estimation, so take it with a grain of salt. It's only 50% accurate, but here
Yeah.
with this specific tab, bought in the past month, we see all the items that sell, right? So we see the black medium, it sells 600 times
Yeah.
a month, right? Followed by the black XL, which is 400. But remember, we're looking
Hmm.
at the medium. In the data tab, it says only sells 380, but over here it says 600 plus.
600 plus.
Yeah, so like it's very off, but at least we
Yeah.
can get the idea that it sells.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
if we scroll all the way down here, like something like this, right? Bought in the
Sure.
past month, there's no information, no data, right? We could come to the idea or the assumption that this item maybe doesn't sell that much, so
Yeah.
maybe not buy so many units. But because of this, because it checks out, I will know if I buy at least 50 units of this or even 30 units of this, it will sell. Like I won't have a problem with stuck inventory or slow moving inventory because I know it sells, right?
Yeah.
And then so we take a look over here, we scroll over here, keep scrolling, and then we see the ratings. Ratings is another factor because the only way you could get ratings is if people buy it, right? You will not get a
Yeah.
rating if no one buys it. So if you see the ratings like going up, it means there's sales, right? This listing is going up, so there's sales. This listing is going up, so there's sales, right?
Yeah.
And for example, this one, you see here is like pretty like stagnant. That means
Yeah.
sales
Yeah.
very slow. So basically no sales at all, right? Or like even this one, it's just stuck at 2.
There's like no sales.
Exactly. But then this one is
Yeah.
going up, so there is sales.
Yeah.
So that's just how you can analyze. That's literally how I would look at a listing, right? And now going back to the question, if I found this black t-shirt size medium at $12, will I buy it? Yes, I will buy it because number one, it's profitable, and number two, I know it sells,
Yeah.
right? So that's just basically like a very in-depth explanation of how I would do and perform my product research. And you should honestly do this with every single item, even if it's like an individual, right? So let's go
Okay.
back to, okay, let's use Lego, for example.
I
Like a,
was doing the Lego Supra. It was just that one.
okay, no, it doesn't matter. I'll just show
Yeah.
you
Okay. Okay.
like a random one. Okay, let's look at this one, right? This is an individual listing, right? There isn't a lot of like there isn't a bunch of different SKUs inside this listing. So we see this helicopter, it sells 8,000 times,
Yeah.
BSR is 163, so it's amazing. And even selling 8,000 times, that's amazing, right? There's only one listing. So for example, for this, right? If I was to get this at about $9, right?
Yeah.
I put it in the calculator. Oh, it's $9. It's profitable, 32% ROI, $2.92, everything like that, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
everything checks out. And then we go down to Keepa here and we look at the graph. But what do you notice the difference, the main difference between this graph and the Nike graph?
I think like the prices. I like prices are constant. Like with the buy box too, it's just like 19.97.
Yes. Okay, yeah, you're correct. So basically, this listing on buy box throughout the time, throughout the whole 118 days, there's only
Yeah.
been one person on the buy box, and it's Amazon. So
Yeah.
there's a few specific things that you look for, and if you see it, you don't buy it, right? Even if the item is profitable, right? In our case, it's profitable, but we come down here and look at the buy box and we only see Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah, so my best suggestion is to always avoid any listings where Amazon is the buy box, like not more than 90% of the time, right? So we see here, Amazon is literally the buy box the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We go under buy box statistics and we see, yeah, Amazon 100%. So they never lost buy box. But
Yeah.
here on the Keeper graph, we see like there's an offer count of 18. So like there's 18 different sellers on this listing, but how come Amazon's only on it, right? So you want to avoid any listings where you see Amazon. If you see Amazon, just go on to the next listing because there's so many
Okay.
different listings where Amazon's not on it, right? So this is an example of something, even though it's profitable, I would just avoid.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like whenever the buy box is with the Amazon, like most of the time just leave it. Just hop onto
100% of the
another
time,
one.
100% of the time, just leave it, right? So, okay, let me go on. Let me think of another item, right? And let's take a look at uh, this one. Okay, so this is another item, right? That I'll give you another example.
Okay.
Just drink some water. So we go through everything. So we go through everything to look at the calculator. Let's pretend it's profitable, right? We scroll down here
Okay.
and we look at the Keepa graph. So we see here that just looking at the buy box over the last like year, we
Yeah.
see is very consistent. However, CostRx is sold by CostRx, and CostRx is the brand themselves,
Okay.
right? So there are some listings where, the actual brand themselves, they sell on the listing for their own brand, right? So this is another thing that I would avoid. If you see any listings where if it's CostRx and you see the buy box is only CostRx, stay away because
Okay.
we are third-party sellers. So technically, some brands they don't like, third-party sellers. and they would, send you letters,
Yeah,
cease and desist letters, whatever it is, right, to kick you off the listing, right? So, for example, if I was looking at this and it's profitable, and I come on to Keepa and I see this only cost RX, no, I'm not buying this at all because it's
sure.
not worth the headache. So you want to go for items that there's many different sellers on it, at least minimum 5 different sellers, and buy box rotates. So what is another listing? Uh, okay, let's see Nike backpack. Let's take a look at this one.
And like when we are doing a sale, like how many sales should we consider before buying it? So like this one says like it's like 400 plus in this past month.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Generally speaking, the BSR is tied towards monthly sales, right? This is an estimate, by the way.
Yeah.
All of it, everything's estimate. But generally speaking, a BSR under 50,000 you should not worry about not selling your inventory fast enough. Anything over 50,000, you might, you know, okay, let me
Yeah.
let me correct myself. Anything under 50,000, you will not have a problem selling, right? If you do have a problem selling, it's probably because you're not winning buy box, and that means you just don't have it in stock or your price is too high.
Okay.
But between 50,000 to 100, it's moderate. So you can still generate sales. It's not as fast as under 50,000, but just be more aware. And anything over 100K would just be too slow. And
Okay.
I would not buy any items over 100K.
All right. Got it.
So we look into this item, we see BSR is 15,000, it sells about 600 times, right? Let's hypothetically assume it's profitable. We come down here and we see, look at this graph, right? The
Yeah.
price within the last 3 months seems to drop very drastically from $70 all the way down to $50.
$50.
So yeah, so it's very volatile, if that makes sense. We look at the yearly view. Uh, we see it actually just go very up and down, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So I would similar to the same criteria. I would take a look at the lowest price within the 3 month,
Okay.
within the 3 month, within the year, and potentially maybe even all. It really depends. Not really. Actually, I wouldn't do all, but I would just do month, 3 month, and year. Take a look
Okay.
at the lowest point and just come to conclusion. But because in this example, we see within the last like 3 months, the price has been at an all-time low, right? I would normally just put the $51 and
Okay.
I'll put it into this calculator and use my cost that I could find this item at and make a judgment and see if, if this item's profitable or
Yeah.
not.
All
So
right.
like, so that's just basically how I would really analyze the listings, and hopefully it has been very insightful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So this was all being recorded, right?
Yes, yes. All of
Oh,
this.
yo, man, I needed I needed it because there was a lot of information. So like I think this was the all I need to just to look to
Yeah.
source the products.
Mhm. Thank you very much if you made it to the end of this video. I really hope you gained some sort of new information and value, and if you did, I would really appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe. Also, feel free to follow my Instagram as I post many different successes and as well as document my own journey on Amazon. Along with that, you can click the link down below, the Calendly link, where you can be directed to my calendar, where you can book a call with me and my team. We can walk over exactly how I can get you to 10K a month in 60 days or less. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in next video.